Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Living Your Greatness. This is your host, Ben Mumme, and the goal of the show is really simple: to learn from those who have mastered their craft of what they do. If you're new to my show, please hit that subscribe button. Today, we have a new guest to the show, and his name is Gary Cardone. He is a lifelong entrepreneur who has a passion for natural gas, digital payments, investing, and as well as fatherhood. So without further ado, Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy, what are we on? Tuesday, 2 days before my birthday. So it's my birthday week.
Gary, how old are you turning?
I'll be 66.
Let's kind of start off then with you telling us a little bit about yourself. 66 years, where did you spend your formative years growing up? And what inspired you, to become a successful entrepreneur, business leader, as well as investor?
Grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana, below middle class, probably. Left Louisiana right after college, moved to Houston, would spend probably 6 or 7 years in Texas building my first career, which was the oil and gas and electricity business. Moved to England in 92, spent 10 years there on a mission. 2 missions, actually. They were very, very exciting. And came back here in 02 after 9/11. Chilled out for probably 6 or 7 years, just studied life, myself, religion, history, and then got into the payments industry through a fluke. And we built the fraud business, the chargeback business. Became pretty bored with that after about 5 or 6 years. Wanted to exit, really wanted to look at blockchain and more disruptive technologies than I was seeing in the payments industry. And weird set of events has been my whole life, but start my career in energy, go through payments, and then end up in blockchain and Bitcoin and realize, oh my goodness, the payments experience and the energy experience are all going to pay dividends to really understand what's happening in what I call the digitization of planet Earth. So that's kind of my career, man. I've been at the right place, the right time. And if I had any skill in the whole thing at all, it was me having the capacity to take risk and pull the trigger on certain theses I had that made sense to me, that maybe other people wouldn't do, but it just made so much sense to me, and so they paid off pretty well. So that's me in a less than 3 minutes.
Well, thanks for sharing, your background, Gary. And I have a question in terms of, your entrepreneurship journey, right? Because there's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows. And in our world today, there's a lot of imposter syndrome, right? Where people just think, oh yeah, Gary must have got lucky or this or that or whatever. There's always a lot of assumptions. So I guess my question is, do you have any rewarding stories, but also the complete opposite, Phoenix stories in terms of your entrepreneurship journey?
Well, I'm not sure that people really, I hear these guys leaving college or high school and go, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, but I'm not sure people really understand what that means. For me, I would use the analogy, it's a bit like Columbus being given some money by the Queen and saying, hey, go out and discover. That for me has been my entrepreneurial, well, that's been my whole life, really. I got out of high school and college, and I was not prepared for the world. I didn't, my dad had died when I was 8 or 9 years old, something like that. I had no male mentors, no alpha dogs around Grant and I to control us, and we were totally out of control. Really just very lucky we didn't get thrown in jail or hurt someone, and end up with a problem that would follow you over your whole life. Dude, I think the thing that I have done really, really well is I have been discontent very well. I don't do discontent very well. And by that, I mean, when I'm uncomfortable, I need to move. I need to and I was uncomfortable in the very beginning. Well, I was uncomfortable in high school. college, extremely uncomfortable in high school and college, felt like I was wasting my life. And actually do now. When I talk about my birthday, I'm like, man, I spent 8 years in education system, 8 years out of 66. What is that? That's a good 12% of my life spent tapping my foot on the ground the whole time going, hey, when are we going to actually start this party? Right. To me, it was all a dress rehearsal that was poorly structured by the school system to basically just burn up 8 hours a day of my life. I hate to be so negative about it, but I was not going to be a rocket scientist or surgeon. I just didn't have the IQ for that. So I think being discontent and being uncomfortable, like I just don't do it well. So I was like, okay, I got to go find something to do, man, or I'm gonna just like I'm gonna be a plebe and I'm gonna be a parasite, right? And I've never wanted to be that. Went and asked people for advice, got a job, and worked my ass off. And something happened during that job, during that role. And I realized, oh, wow, I was set up to do this. So I think being aware, having really good situational awareness for me has been a bit of a gift, my ability to observe things and really not following the crowd, man. I would say not following the crowd. Somebody asked me the other day, hey, what message would you leave with your children? And the message would be never, ever get in line. Don't wait for anything. Figure out a way to go around the system. If a bunch of people are doing something, assume that it's mostly going to be wrong. And that's like, it's not a negative thing. Most groups of people do the wrong thing. Whatever the mass collection of thought is, it's usually incorrect. So through history too, it doesn't take a lot of, history reading to realize that, but it does take a lot of ego, a lot of willingness to not be liked to do that, to break the system down. So that's I was willing to be different, man, and be myself. I think that was I wasn't trying to be different, right? I mean, I know some people that go out of their way to be different. I just knew I didn't fit in some of these systems.
And I think that's a lot of valid points, but sometimes we can feel, very alone, when we choose to make these better opportunities to grow and learn or find, a better path. Were there any people in your environment around you, whether it was your brother Grant or whether it was, other like-minded individuals who were kind of supporting you or kind of seeing you go on like this path as well?
Zero, man. Grant was useless. I mean, Grant was really like messed up. Between 21 to 30, Grant was just completely useless as I mean, I had already started my career. I was well on my way of becoming very successful. I think Grant was still living with my mom. He did do it. He had a bit of a slow start. Now he's come back pretty well. I wouldn't say that I had any help, dude. I actually think it's one of the reasons I do some of the things I do today. Like I do a lot of stuff on X that I never expected that I would be doing. And the reason I do it is I sense from guys like you, your age, you guys are dying for mentorship and direction from people that aren't making it up. And you're dying for it. It's if you're not dying, if you're not like really angsting for that kind of leadership, that alpha kind of direction, I think you've probably already lost the way. Because I have never stopped thirsting to meet people that know more than me, have had better experiences, have had bigger losses, and been able to come back from those losses. I find people that have had a lot of adventures in life are really, really more capable than people that have not. And your point on lonely, Most of my life has been lonely, dude. Like really lonely. Like if you were a therapist, I could probably go, oh man, it's been really lonely. It's just my life though. It's you know, when you're a special way, like you can't expect everybody to want to do this. Like being an entrepreneur, most people are not situated to be an entrepreneur. It would be better for them to work for an entrepreneur for 4 to 15 years, and then maybe they can become their own entrepreneur. But not everyone needs to be the boss entrepreneur taking all the risk. I'm extremely situated for it. Like my personality, I mean, we got Bitcoin down $8,000-9,000 today, and I have a monster position. Doesn't bother me in the least, man. Now, would I rather the price to be up? Of course. But I look at it and go, well, I'm not selling it. It's just even going through building businesses. I mean, these are really lonely journeys, right? I remember living in London for weeks and weeks at a time, not seeing my children, not talking to my kids on the phone for weeks, because I don't do that. I go on a mission, dude. I'm not talking to my children. If I go to Iraq and I go to war for the U.S. military, there's no me calling my kids every night. There's no me calling my little wifey going, hey, baby, how's everything going? And bullets are flying over my head. And I think building businesses is almost identical to that. So that's why I don't call my kids. I think they're feeling lonely not seeing me. I didn't feel lonely not seeing them and not talking to them. And my head's out of my game, right? So being an entrepreneur, getting rich is lonely. Okay. And that's never been my goal, but it does come with costs that no one ever talks about. A lot of cost. I've been married 3 times, man. Now, the truth is, I probably should never have been married. It's just, I probably is not the kind of guy that ever needed to be married. In particular, with the kind of lifestyle I live and the kind of businesses I build. So you know, it's people look at the money and the planes and the houses, but they don't look at the other stuff like, whoa, you know. There's been a lot of times when I've been in 5-star hotels and no one's around me. I'm the only one there. Don't have anybody to talk to. This is my creation. It's my canvas. Very similar to an artist starting from a blank canvas. I really have a lot of empathy for artists today because I've been trying to do art. I see art as very similar to what I've done most of my life. You know, there's very few canvases I've ever painted with another person. I've done a couple, okay, and they're interesting. Actually have saved, I've done 3 canvases with other people, with women. I don't know that I could do it with a guy. And they turned out really interesting, man. The art did, but I would not do that on a regular basis. Try to do art, try to create something with another human being, which really says a lot, right? To me, that says a lot that sometimes you just got to be by yourself.
You spoke a little bit about Bitcoin, you know, in that world. So if we go to the financial world now, you know, what made you first discover Bitcoin, or at least, you know, pique your interest? And then with time, you know, when was it that you educated yourself in terms of making any decisions of investing in this space?
Well, when I studied economics in college, and the first class I went to, Economics 101, I still remember the guy. He was on a chalkboard, and he said, when supply exceeds demand, prices will fall, and when demand exceeds supply, prices will rise. And I saw that chart, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I never need to go to another economics class ever again. This one key principle would become the maxim for every business I built after that moment. it's really staggering how that one supply and demand chart really almost like I felt like a spear going into my soul, because I'm like, okay, that's the deal. There's another thing I heard a long time ago that I won't necessarily get into that, but this supply and demand thing would become key to everything I would do after that. And every business I go into, which leads me to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's original interest to me was the supply and demand matrix that I had never seen before. I'd been in the energy business when if you needed energy tomorrow morning, there was always a way to find some more energy, right? You just raise the price and somebody's going to have some nat gas or some oil or some power sitting behind a transformer somewhere or a pump. And they're like, whoa, you'll pay me $300? Yeah, I'll pay you $300 right now. I need it that bad. And imagine, you have a problem with nat gas. Nat gas is trading at $1.89, and somebody says, I need nat gas really bad. Dude, they will just stick a hose in the ground, big pressure pipe. They'll push water into the well bore, and they will produce more nat gas tomorrow morning, right? Because price allows that. Bitcoin, that is not possible. Okay. And then I realized I have never actually been in a market where supply and demand is extremely algorithmically coded to not change, right? You cannot accelerate the volume of Bitcoin tomorrow morning. You cannot do it. And that became fascinating for me. I literally spent 45 years of my life being prepared for this moment. No one, and I will say no one on planet Earth, including BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Paul Tudor Jones, any of the greatest, Warren Buffett, we have never actually touched a product that has finite supply. Never. I think people are just getting to a point where they realize, oh, wow, humanity, other than you and I, there are no other unique things on this planet. Everything can be grown, except Bitcoin. And soon, medicine, I was just doing some medical stuff in Antigua, man. There's doctors out there going, dude, we're getting ready to grow cartilage. Okay. So even our bodies are getting ready to have the ability to be synthesized and extended their lifetime. That doesn't happen with Bitcoin. That was really fascinating to me. And that all happened at the same time that I became very nervous about the global economy. That this debt, this is 15 years ago, man. And we've still been able to like push debt out there, create more money, create this bizarre marketplace where you have stocks trading at massive premiums that no one understands. And we just accept it as normal. Bitcoin just became a really fascinating, both intellectual and philosophical conversation that I found to be like my brother does a lot of real estate, right? He's got a massive holding in real estate. The real estate is a dumb man's investment. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, but it doesn't require any intellect whatsoever. It's the dumbest investment in the history of mankind. You have $10 million. The bank gives you another 30 or 40 million. You go buy a $50 million piece of real estate. You're going to make a 5% yield. You're going to hold it forever. Or if you don't hold it forever, you're going to be able to depreciate it. It's got tax advantages all over the place. And you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But it doesn't require intelligence, right? It's not a complex investment strategy. And it's been helped because the world prints money. The only reason homes are worth $435,000 is because the US dollar is worth half of what it was simply 10 years ago. And it's worth about 4 cents what it was worth 100 years ago, 2 to 4 cents, right? So it's just destroyed value. So these things go up. The price of a hammer goes up. The price of a house in this case goes up, but notice the TVs aren't going up. They're going down in value. in price, and the quality is going up. So we have this weird world where I look at Bitcoin and go, whoa, this is going to be a product that can live outside the old world that we came from, where everything is priced on US dollars, and those US dollars are very, very unstable. I mean, if you reach into your pocket right now, and if you have 10 $1 bills or 10 $10 bills, 5 or 6 of them have one man's name on them. It had a treasury. And the guy was just around 6 years ago. Okay. Like all that money, go look at it. When you see Steve Mnuchin's name on every one of those dollars, 6 to 7 out of those $10, that shows you how much has been printed in the Trump administration and is being printed through the Biden administration. They all print, and they will all continue to print. They'll print until you can't print anymore. So Bitcoin is a monster opportunity if people can just get their head out of what they think they know that is incorrect.
Right.
Most people think they understand markets, and I think most people do not understand markets whatsoever. They're convinced they understand them.
What is it that you think people do not understand right now about markets?
It's no different than Monopoly. Okay. Monopoly. How many people do you know that's ever started a game of Monopoly and finished it? Very few people. It's a long game. And it's a long game because they just keep, hey, let me borrow some money. Let's do a swap. Let's do a trade. If you had to get liquidated every time you were playing Monopoly, game would be much shorter. Bitcoin's a liquidation market. Like if you're wrong, you're going to get pushed out because you don't get the phone call. You know, people bitch about the legacy finance world. There's a tremendous value behind centralization. I mean, let's say that you're working for a bank and you and I become friends. Well, I've been banking with you for 20 years. You've taken me to lunch twice a year. You come to my parties. You've been making 100 basis points on me forever. I've never let you down. I have a big position on. I get a margin call. You call me, go, hey, Gary, risk management just called me. You're out of covenants. You need to find $3 million. I'm gonna be like, hey Ben, I need a week, dude. You give me a week. You're gonna call risk management, who you also took to lunch because you were smart. Hey, Mary, look, this guy Gary, he's solid, dude. He's never let us down. I need you to find some isn't it Easter Sunday in like 2 days? Maybe we could make these emails go a little bit slower. So all of a sudden now I get some relief from you. You give me 10 days, 5 days to get my position correct. In Bitcoin, there is no phone call, dude. There's no guy to call like you going, hey, I need a little room. I am literally just liquidated. You see, I love that market because that's a big boys market. Like there's no games to be played. Whereas, and I like the old world too. I like to be able to make that phone call, go, hey, can I have some room? So I think I'm probably off topic of answering your question, but I see these two worlds and go, wow, man, these two worlds have benefits and they have consequences to both their options, and they're running into each other. Like it's two trains just running into each other. I happen to think that if we are digitizing planet Earth, and I put this very simply to my twin brother the other day, who's very into, hey, I want to be able to see a building, look at it, put a human being in that building in room 3A, and they pay me. And I get a dividend every month from those people paying me for me to use my money to buy that building, and then I rent it to them. With Bitcoin, you don't have that distribution, that dividend thing, but I also look at it and go, yeah, but I'm buying a piece of real estate in Manhattan that will never, ever be duplicated, copied, or replicated. In fact, in order to buy any more than you can't buy more than 19.6 million of these units today. And in the future, it may be 21 million, possibly 21, max 21 million units. That's a perfect real estate play, right? But I see these worlds coming together. I can see through the noise, all the noise from the crypto world that mature people look at and go, I'm not getting into that world. I looked at it and went, no, there's noise like this in every evolving market, right? The carnival, what I call the circus of the meme coins and the shit coins and all this other, all the noise, that is all noise of creativity of entrepreneurs trying to build things. Some of them are scummy, some of them are scammy, some of them are outright just illegal Ponzi schemes, but that does not make that whole industry bad, right? It just means that there's a lot of grifters in the world trying to do something. But what if the industry on its core is really, really, really impressive, right? Like something we've never attempted before. My point to my brother is we aren't going back to the 8-track tape. Okay, there is no, like you look at me and go, 8-track tape, what's that? Like you don't even remember the 8-track tape. Dude, I remember slamming the 8-track tape, lighting a joint when I was 22, slamming the tape in, listening to Grand Funk, whatever we were listening to, and thought that we were, super cool. Now we don't even think about a CD, or we just hit something on a telephone. I have 4 apps for music in my telephone. Now that's kind of interesting. Since I'm an Apple guy, I don't even use their music. Here's a company that literally destroyed the way music was available on a little device called an iPod, and I'm not even using their music. I use their phone, and I pay Spotify. So don't tell me this world isn't going to digitize down to the unit, which means you're not going to own a car. You're going to rent, lease, use the car as you need it. Why? Because you only use it for 4% of the time now anyway. I mean, if we want to get green and get ESG, whatever that means, the only way we get green is if we digitize planet Earth. And then if by digitizing planet Earth, we're allowed to then charge you for everything you do, when you do it, but only when you do it. Not stranded cost. Okay, you're going to pay $30 a month to Zoom to have capacity. Let's just pay by the minute. We'll be more efficient. If you have to rent a car, I was with Vivek the other day. I'm like, hey, we need $300 crude oil, man. He's like, huh? We need $300 crude oil. $300 crude oil, no more war. Every country on the planet is going to make money. The green industry will do exceedingly well because they're now competing against $300 crude oil, $11 gasoline. You will no longer get in your car and drive up to the 7-Eleven and get a 5-hour drink, a 5-hour speed drink, right? And use a gallon of gasoline. If gasoline was priced correctly, we wouldn't use our cars the way we do. There's just so much. When was the last time you closed your laptop computer and turned it off?
Long time.
Never. Electricity's priced too cheap. See, when you behave that way, power is priced too cheaply. If it was priced correctly, you would close your computer. So we're grossly wasteful, right? So I'm a big believer there's 25% of all the energy on this planet is literally just being wasted, man. Not utilized, completely wasted. And then there's another 20% that doesn't ever even hit the market. So that to me, we're going through this massive paradigm shift of utilizing resources in a very, very different way. And it doesn't mean that the way we used to do it was wrong. The way we used to do it was extremely wasteful, inefficient, and it was not wrong. It was just the only way we had to measure it was analog. But we're getting very, very close to being able to analyze everything down to how much attention does a conversation like this have for humanity? And we'll find out from analytics, right? And you'll be like, oh, wow, that was a loser. The Kitco guys were like, dude, how did you get, 700,000 views on it? Like, we don't have, Harry Dent doesn't come on here and get 700,000 views. I don't know why. Okay, maybe I'm being honest and going, hey, looks to me like we're going to war. Okay, that seems to, like, a lot of people respond to that and go, we're going to war? Well, I think we are at war. So I just think we're going to learn a lot about what humanity really wants, and across every field, man. Education. I mean, you cannot possibly look at the education system and say it's really doing well, right? We're getting ready to remove grades from high school. It's a shame now for someone to make a D. Like, I made C minuses, man. I literally went out of my way not to make anything more than a C, because I was like, why would I study to make a straight A? Another 2 hours? Like, it's a total waste of time. I'm going to go chase some girls, man. Right? Because I knew I wasn't going to be a rocket scientist. So did it really matter if I made straight A's or C's? I just needed to get a job, dude. I was asked for my resume and my credentials from college one time in my entire life. Nobody asked me for hey, Gary, what'd you study? Nobody gives a fuck what I studied, dude. They're like, oh, this guy built businesses after business after business. What do we care what his background was, right? So, and look at all the people that you really value as as productive human beings. Most of them are not going to college. They drop. They're like, no, dude, I'm not doing this. So this is the greatest opportunity in history. For you guys, like, I would attach myself to so many people like me who can see through the noise. And like, this is where, like, I have been saying this for about 10 years. This is the greatest transfer of wealth and power. And the power is more important than the wealth. I mean, to me, wealth and power are very, very correlated. And I think we would do very, very well by starting to redefine freedom, because I define freedom. Most important thing for me is freedom is very correlated to how much money you have. The more money you have, the more freedom you have. And why? Why do I say it that way? I know it sounds really horrible, but dude, freedom is the ability to say no. It's not the ability to say yes. I can say yes. I know people that say yes to too many things. They become workaholics. Their egos are out of control. If somebody asks them to do a podcast, yes, yes, I'll do it. Yes, yes. There's no value there. The ability to say no to anything, to the government, to the police, to the COVID-19 stick a needle in your face, in your veins. We need to be able to say no. And money, it's not just money. Sometimes you just have to have balls, right? Willingness to stand up and have a spine. But I'm interested in being able to say, no, stay away from me. You cannot just come into my space anytime you want. You can't do that to me. I'm going to fight you through the legal system. This is why it gets back to being money. I spent $7 million defending against a draconian enforcement authority or group inside the US government called the FTC, who wanted to collect $100,000 from me for wrongdoings, which I'm like, hell, it took me 2 years to find out they wanted $100,000. That was $5 million just to find out the US government, well, Gary, we think you committed $100,000 worth of offenses. 2 years. Most people cannot pay for that, right? They just surrender. They just go, okay, here's the 100. What do you need? I'll sign anything. So to me, every one of you guys, everyone, whether you're 60 years old or 16 years old, the opportunity that's being created in this digital world doesn't require college education. It doesn't require a high school education. All it requires is you to hook your wagon to another wagon that's like got some clout and they know what they're doing. And you build a whole business together because no one's ever done this before. Like MasterCard does not have any advantages over me anymore, right? We're all in nowhere, no man's land. So it's just to me, man, it's just massively exciting. And people go, hey, why are you still working? It's, hell, what else would I do, man? This is exciting, right? To be able to build generational wealth that could literally help change the education system. I mean, I need to make $1 billion so I can compete with all these lobbyists, man. All these criminal organizations that are trying to dumb down your children, that are confusing our kids. They don't even know what they're doing anymore, man. I mean, I literally interviewed a guy the other day. I said, look, I'll pay you 70 grand a year, but you got to work for me. You can't work for anyone else. Well, I think I could do a podcast and do 200 grand a year. He might be able to for a year or two, but he's not going to work for me also. Like that, see, you have to sacrifice. Hey, do you want to go for the short-term money or do you want to go build a career? And I spent 17 years with one company. Very few people ever read this about me because they see my brother and go, never worked for anyone. Dude, I worked for 17 years for a group of people. I would replicate that tomorrow morning. I would not go back and change that. I learned so much from them. I was, in my opinion, I was grossly overpaid for the knowledge I brought to the table. And then I was underpaid for my performance because I did grossly overperform. But they took a runner on me, man. They took a flyer on Gary Cardone when they paid me 70 grand. They didn't know if I could do that or not, right? Or 2 million or 6 million or whatever they ended up paying me. But I earned all that, right? And so, but I was always very, very grateful for working for these guys. One, they were extremely smart. Two, they allowed me to be me for the most part. As we got bigger, they started, hey, Gary, you need to wear different clothes and you need to speak differently. And I was like, yeah, fuck off. I'm just going to do my deal. And, but if you can maintain your own identity and build something, I think that's really, really rewarding.
So when it comes to Bitcoin, something that you've taken time to understand and really understand like the digital world, what is it that you think is making people fearful of not understanding that this is a wealth transfer and like a opportunity of like a lifetime? And what are some compelling reasons that support your thesis?
Well, the supports the thesis is that anyone listening to this, I will give you a Bitcoin and you can do whatever you want with it. You can turn it into US dollars or Spanish, whatever, lira or euros. But I'll give it to you. If you can tell me one product, one commodity, one service, one anything that you have been able to acquire that is seriously unique outside of arts of work that most of you cannot afford, I can't afford. We are all getting ready to be able to afford to buy and participate in a Mona Lisa through, I think, fractionization or digitization of assets, real world assets. I'm not talking about a house. I'm talking about art. I think this NFT tokenization of homes is just dumb as a bag of rocks. It will come one day, but homes are not fungible. Apartment buildings, real estate, not even real estate, just raw land is not fungible because what if there's a gasoline spill on 100 acres to the left and 100 acres to the right? It's perfect land. Are those fungible products? No, they're not. One's got gasoline on it and one doesn't. Look, I think I've never understood the stock market. During COVID, we created a new financial term called EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA, as if COVID had not happened. For my entire life, I've heard that if you borrow money and have debt, that then is no longer a liability. It sits on your assets. I'm like, dude, it's either a liability or it's an asset. It cannot be both. But Chevron borrows $1 trillion and all of a sudden they're worth $1 trillion over their market cap. That's never made any sense to me. The euro trades at an 8% premium to the US dollar, and the sterling, the UK pound sterling, the oldest currency in the world, controlled by a king, it trades at a 28% premium to the US dollar. And I have one question. Why would the euro or the UK pound sterling trade at a premium to the US dollar when the euro and the UK produce nothing? They're not long energy. They're not long agriculture. They're not long anything. They are consumers at the very tail end of the supply chain, and their currencies are trading at premiums. I ask any economist to explain to me, anyone, I don't care who you are, dude, like, please come explain to me why it's trading at a premium. 30 years I've been asking this question. Nobody answers the question. And the reason is because they're pegged there. This is artificial. Okay, you have governments just pegging these numbers to the US dollar. But when I look at Bitcoin, there's none of that stuff going on. There is supply and demand. There is an algorithm that I'm not smart enough to decode, but I know enough people that say, hey, this is a real code, okay? It's as real as any other code we have in the banking system. It's been attacked 50 times in 15 years. Half the attacks are from internal idiocy, ego, fractured tribes. I mean, the marketing and sales program on Bitcoin, this is my biggest pitch for Bitcoin. We have gone from, call it $8,000 in 2016 to $68,000 today, with the worst marketing and sales promotion program in the history of mankind. There has never been a worse marketing program than that has been pushed out on Bitcoin. And it is because the very nature of Bitcoin is decentralized. There is no central marketing and PR message. There's no management team to send a letter to. And you ended up with 2 or 3 tribes all selling something different. You know, Cash, BTC this, BTC, BSV, all these little splinter groups. And dude, we're still at 68. Okay, we went from 8 grand to 68 grand, and we're going to 100. And after that, we'll go above this because this is a finite product. It's being adopted by some of the biggest players in the world. And if you look at guys like me have a special little gift, and that is we're a little early. And that's a problem. Okay, like I have been early to Bitcoin. I invested early into Bitcoin, early-ish, and I've had to suffer some of those ups and downs that Bitcoin has experienced. But dude, we're so young, we're so new here. Okay, I mean, we have a guy like what's the guy's name that's he just came out the other day, Bill Ackman. Okay, Ackman's a serious investor. I mean, this is 4 years after Paul Tudor Jones, one of the biggest, most successful commodity traders. Now, my background's commodity trading. Bitcoin is a pure commodity. Okay, it is not equity. People talk about, well, NVIDIA stock. No, dude, no, this is not NVIDIA stock. This is a commodity that's a little different. When you have supply and demand on commodity, you can't just make barrels of oil show up in Houston when it's needed there, right? This product needs to show up to the demand where it shows up, where it's sharp, the most sharp. We're still going to have a very violent Bitcoin world because we have dynamics in Bitcoin that we don't have in other markets. We don't have circuit breakers in Bitcoin like they do in equities. We can't issue stock in Bitcoin. And I'm talking about Bitcoin and only Bitcoin. I'm not talking about Ether. I'm not talking about Doge. I'm not talking about Solana. I am talking about the King Kong Godzilla of assets. Never before have you been able to buy a tenth of a piece of gold and not pay a premium. See, most people think, hey, if I go buy gold, I can just buy a piece of gold. No, you can't. Like if I buy 10 ounces of gold, about that big, I probably pay wholesale rate, right? I probably pay $2,200. If I buy a tiny fragment of a gold piece, like they were trying to sell in little wallets, have you seen those little fractions of, that's a 40% premium. Gold has to get to $4,000 to $5,000 an ounce for you to ever make money on that fragment. Now, are you carrying gold around in your wallet? Nobody knows it? Sure you are, but you're not making any money on it. You take that same fragment, that same percentage of Bitcoin, it costs you no more. Like it's 66 grand, dude. You buy 1 penny of it or you buy the whole Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. It's still 66 grand. There's no premium for that fragmentation. It would be like you dating a woman, the greatest woman in the world, and you're in a bind, dude. You're in Australia and you need a car. You clip off a little piece of her arm and you give it to the driver. And she's cool with it. Doesn't degrade her. She's still exactly the same woman you had like 10 minutes ago. You just took a little fragment of her. She's cool with it. You gave it to somebody else. You monetized her and you moved on. And that's, tell me what product you can do that with. None. You can't do that with your house. You know, the local council won't even let you rent your own house, dude. In some neighborhoods, you can't you're going away to Australia to go hang out with your chick. You can't even rent your own property, right? On an Airbnb sometimes. So like if you don't pay your taxes on your home, you don't even own your home. Bitcoin, I own my Bitcoin. You cannot take it away and you're not taxing it until I monetize it. I get to carry it wherever I want without any excess baggage fees.
But in terms of gold and silver, I know you also own a little bit of that. Why are you also bullish on these investment opportunities as well?
Well, just because I own them doesn't mean that I'm that bullish on them. I bought a lot more gold in 2011 than I did Bitcoin. Excuse me, 2018, I bought Bitcoin and I bought gold. I bought a lot more gold. That was a bad trade. I bought gold at 1,100, bought Bitcoin at 8,000, sold the gold at 2,000 and converted it to Bitcoin. But I should have done it all. I should have done it all into Bitcoin, but I just did not understand Bitcoin enough to make an allocation of $4 million into Bitcoin. That's the other thing people need to understand. Real money has not really come into Bitcoin. And by real money, I mean, you know, people compare Bitcoin to gold, and then they'll compare it to Dogecoin. I'm like, you know, I have 85% of my net worth, my liquid net worth into Bitcoin. It's a huge allocation compared to what most people do. I think it's actually underallocated still. I would never do that with Dogecoin. I would never put millions of dollars into Dogecoin or Solana. Maybe that's the right trade, but this money is for the future, right? This is about like an investment that I can put to bed, go to sleep. I'll wake up in 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I could not even look at the price, dude. It's going to be worth a lot more in 4, 5, 6, 7 years. than gold's going to be. See, gold can only go up so high. Okay, there's $6 trillion of gold sitting around people's necks and hands and rings. It's $6,000 an ounce, dude. People are going to start pulling gold out of their teeth, okay, and selling their rings. So Bitcoin's never going to be used for rings. It's going to be used for store of value. And I'll probably end up buying my gold off of leverage, a ring, a watch off the leverage I have on Bitcoin. I know I just did this research the other day because people were going, no, nobody's going to buy this much Bitcoin. I'm like, well, let's just go. How many people buy Rolls Royces every year? $500,000. $500,000 car that you get to pick your own unique color. 6,000 brand new Rolls Royces at $500,000 are sold every year to really rich people. Now, I would never buy one. But my point is, wow, you pay $500,000 for 6,000 Rolls every year, dude. That's 60,000 in 10 years at 500. Start doing the math on that. Rich people have the right to buy things that other people can't buy. They'll do anything they can to buy something that's unique. You've seen these cats. I've seen guys pay 150 grand for a watch, man. Like my brother. I'm like, whoa. I saw a G-Wagon the other day for 220 grand. I'm like, that's 5 Bitcoin, man. Okay, what are you doing, dude? Because I think Bitcoin's worth $1 million at some point. Why would you pay $5 million for a G-Wagon? Just so you can look cool? Really? That's expensive look cool, dude. That's a very expensive cool look, right? So if you just look at this thesis of there's never been this product, we've never had this, man. Never had this available to us. I don't know how people can't get excited about it. So I don't know if that really answered your question. I still own silver. I own 23,700 ounces of silver. I was trying to sell it the other day at 23. It's such a pain in the ass to move that I've now gotten another $2 of value out of the market because I had to delay selling. So now it's at 25. It's probably going to, I have friends that think silver's going to like 70 to $100, man. If it goes there, it's not going to stay there for very long. So I'm not sure it is a better investment, but I do have some. I probably have too much. I would say having some gold, having some silver, having some ammo, water, food. I mean, food's been one of my best investments. People laughed at me 15 years ago because I was buying $100,000 worth of food to store. It has a 40-year life. I'm like, how can you be laughing at me over buying food that has a 40-year shelf life, man? That food's probably worth 4x of what it was. And when you're hungry, it doesn't matter what it's worth. It's invaluable, right? So I told this to Kitco the other day. You mentioned Kitco. I'm like, I have an obligation as a male to take care of my family and my neighbors. Like, this is my job as a human being. It is irrespective of how much Bitcoin I do or do not have. My job as a man is to protect my family and protect the neighbors around me and at least put up some kind of preparation and defense so people aren't walking around scared all the time. You notice how many people are scared all the time? That is not a good position to be in, okay? If you're prepared, you're not scared. I'm never scared. I live in Florida, man. Bring it, Mr. Hurricane. I mean, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to hunker down and use the resources I have, and hopefully my neighbors around me, we can all work together to help each other. But I think real estate's a bad investment. For guys your age, most people should never own a home. Never do. That's a joke, okay? That was a complete Ponzi scheme played out by finance on humanity for the last 100 years. It makes no sense for 66% of the humanity in the United States to own a home. They should all be renting. And then taking the excess money that they would have spent on maintaining the roof, fixing the garage, mowing the grass, take that money and invest it properly. Either build a business with it or invest it in something like a Bitcoin.
What is, your biggest fear that you have for your children, like in the upcoming decade?
My greatest fear is that I'm right on Bitcoin, and they are going to be challenged with managing a monster amount of money. It's always been my greatest fear. When I'll tell you a funny story, I'm sure this is way off track, but I think that's why people like interviewing me, because I go way off. When I was 7 years old, this was before my dad died, I was sitting in a Catholic church on a Sunday morning, heavy duty Catholic church, too. Stained glass windows, statues, Southern Louisiana, a bunch of Italians. I mean, like 42 different statues, the Virgin Mary holding Jesus, blood, the whole deal, right? All these images for a 6 or 7 year old kid. And the priest his speech that day, excuse me, the speech that day was, it is easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into the gates of heaven. I heard that, man. It was like, I realized at 7 years old, I know this sounds bizarre. I can't even believe I'm actually saying it, repeating it, but I realized that would be my life challenge, that I would be challenged with having wealth that would challenge my ethics. That's the way I read that whole parable, right? And it has been a challenge. Hey, am I honorable or not? Even with money. But more importantly, it worries me for my children, because my children are growing up very differently than I did. And I can't change that. It's not like I can, manufacture that I haven't been successful. I refuse to be a lie like that. I'm not going to act like a pauper when I'm not. But that's probably my greatest fear. And that's probably it, man. I mean, I think, and censorship, I would say censorship. And that's why I do so much of this.
So what is your definition of greatness?
Freedom, man. Freedom to be able to say no, freedom to be able to say yes. To be willing to go against, the accepted word. Again, I always go back to, I think the vast majority of people have been miseducated on most everything, on history, on most definitely finance. People, like 96% of the people end up, their kids have to bury them, man. Like, I don't want that to me is just, it's sad in a country like this, and 96% of people end up broke, that having to live their whole lives working in a machine. If you do a survey, I just did a survey recently, and I said, how many people have been looking for their career, right? Like a job they go to and they have fun every day. I think about 66% of the people said they have been looking for that position for over 6 years. Well, if you go to college and you can't find the right job, like, why would you go someplace and you don't really like doing it? You don't really love, you're not passionate about it. I've never chased money, ever. I don't even think, I'm working on a project right now. I do not think about the return. I think about, hey, is this going to add value? If it adds value, the money always comes. So to me, greatness is being willing to study something and then share it with other people, and like, I'm either going to be right or wrong on this play. But I will most certainly not put this play on when I really believe it. Like, once you've studied something, you then go all in. This theory of how do you get great, right? You get great by being massively consolidated on one position and you execute on that position. And then people look at you and go, whoa, he was awesome. That worked, right? Now, your timing has to be right. Your belief has to be right. There's a lot, you have to have enough fuel to get to the journey, through the journey. But to me, people taking great risk in what they believe, I don't know anybody that's ever followed their path in what they believe through their whole life and end up being broken human beings. I don't see that. I see people that at least went through their challenge and they tried. And to do it with honor. I mean, I know a lot of people that make a lot of money that don't do it honorably. And that may be okay with them. It's not okay with me. I just can't live with myself that way. So I think I don't know that I have the right answer for it, but that's the way I look at it.
Well, I think that's a beautiful definition, and I agree too. I think it's pretty sad that some people don't choose to kind of live like their full potential, you know? And again, it doesn't always have to be about the money first. In fact, I think lots of times that's like the wrong mindset. It's to add value, you know, to grow, to learn, to fail, to succeed, to do stuff that you enjoy to do. And, you know, you and I even had a chat, you know, even before this podcast, and I was telling you about just other people that I had admired in my life, but it wasn't because of their success. It was really because they followed their passion, right? What is one quote that you stand and live by?
What is one quote? These are tough questions. I have found a lot of value in writing things down. I carry a notepad with me. Almost people laugh at me because they're like, Gary's always drawing or making notes. I have this. If I want to create something, I start writing it down. Hey, what am I going to create? There's something, and I do not do it on a keyboard. I need to have, like I carry a lot of pencils around. I need to be able to write this down. Hey, this is my goal. This is what I'm doing. Then once I write the goal down, this is very, very important. I must communicate my goal and what I'm going to do to others very, very vocally. And one of the things that does for me, because my ego, I have an ego, and my ego is there to kind of protect me. But also when I verbalize something, my ego doesn't allow me to go backwards, right? It's strong enough or weak enough, however you want to look at it, that the more I say, hey, I am going to make a fortune on Bitcoin. Now, why am I saying a fortune? Well, because that's the metric that I will apply to look at this Bitcoin play as, was it right or wrong? We're going to find out, right? My hold period is quite long. So when that hold period's done, then we will know whether I was correct or not. But one thing I do know is there's no way that I could not put this trade on. Well, based on what I know, I should sell everything I have and put it into this play, because I will be able to change the trajectory of not only my life, whatever I have left here, but I will most certainly change the trajectory of other people's lives that are involved in this project and their families. You start thinking about helping families move their trajectory from middle class to upper class. Dude, like, this is a problem, okay? If you're in the middle class, understand it's spelled one way, P-O-O-R. Middle class is P-O-O-R. There is no middle class anymore. The poor have been, let's say the poor, the super poor, 5 or 6 or 7% of the population. There is nothing more to remove from these people. So guess where they're going to go? They're going to go to the middle class, the 300,000. If you're making 300 grand a year, you need to figure out how to make 600. Okay, you're going backwards. I know that sounds crazy, but that's where we're headed, where the middle class is just going to get pillaged. So the quote I would have would be create value, man. Just create value. There's a whole world here that does not require you to have a college education. If you're, if you don't know the value you bring to the world, like if you can't write down right now, this is the value I bring to the world, you're exposed. You don't even know the own value you bring to the world. Like you have to know that. Then if you're working for someone, you should ask yourself, what value do I bring to this company? And you should be able to answer that question in 1 or 2 sentences, period. If you can't articulate what value you bring to the company you're working for, you should start looking for another job. Then you should ask yourself this question: the company I work for, what value do they bring to the world? And if you can't answer that question in 1 or 2 sentences, you should look for a new job. Okay. And then, are you passionate about what you're doing? If you're not passionate about what you're doing, my God, dude, you're going to go home to your wife and you think you're going to be very passionate? You just spent 8 hours in a freaking zoo all day, trapped in a chair, doing something you didn't like. Follow your passion. And if you can't find your passion, start writing. Because you miss some steps, whether you're 33, 53, or 13, you miss some steps somewhere. Write down who it is. Look, you're more unique than Bitcoin is. Okay, the problem with me investing in you, you bring human error to my investment thesis. I don't want your human error. I don't want your mental bullshit and constructs. Oh, $1 million is enough. Okay, well, it's not going to be enough in 20 years. For you at 30 million bucks, dude, like in 20 years, not nearly enough. So what I can't do is I cannot replicate you. And if you're a superhuman, like you're willing to like go to great lengths to be great and value your time and energy, to me, like that's what I need to find people around me. You talk to any successful people and they're going to tell you one thing: every 7 to 10 years, they change the people around them. I've been doing this since I was 20 years old, man. As soon as I left my home, well, first off, okay, if you're 17, leave home. Okay. 18, you finish high school, leave the city you live in. I would actually prefer you to leave the state you're in, get away from mommy, get away from daddy, get rid of the girlfriend, and go venture for 2 years. Go all over the world. Do whatever, but get away from home and you'll start to learn more about yourself. That is massive, man. Because when you don't have mommy to go to, or somebody to clean your underwear, or make you a breakfast or whatever, you have to start living on your own. You become really, really, one, you become more anti-fragile, but two, you start to have confidence in what you can and cannot do. And until you're 20 or 21, you're just a little baby, man. Family's taking care of you. Everything's been given to you. But to go out and create, like people say, hey, I want to work for you. Okay, cool, dude. Come in. Where can you add value? There's a lot of things that, like, get my internet working, right? We're having a problem here. So there's so many things you can do for really successful people. Today, y'all don't have to go work for a major corporation. You can work for entrepreneurs and learn and become that would be the other thing I would do. Instead of going to college, get your dad to pay to put you to work with somebody like me and be an apprentice for like a year. Why am I paying you? Let dad was going to send you to college and pay 200 grand to be educated by some idiots, some 25-year-old kids who've never done anything whatsoever. They're teaching history, but they've never been to Greece. 33% of the people in the United States have passports, man. I'd love to know how many of the teachers that are teaching our children actually have a passport and have used it. Right? Or a math teacher who's actually done math and can teach compounding. Like most all your friends, go do a survey today. Hey, what's compounding, man? What does compounding mean? And they'll be like, huh? In financial terms, what does compounding mean? Show me what a 5% compounding interest rate over 12 years does. They're going to look at you like you're a freak. Like these are very, very, very important things, right? That most people are not educated about. They have no real understanding of how money works or how scaling works. Everybody wants to be their own entrepreneur. Why? What skills do you have to be your own entrepreneur, your own boss, your own CEO? Well, hey man, I got the internet. Well, cool, dude. That's awesome. But is it scalable? Like all this stuff going on with media right now, most of these guys aren't going to make it because they all want to be their own super brand. It's an ego thing. Instead of going, I don't want my own super brand. I'm building a media company right here. It's not going to be around Gary Cardone. Because when I die, this thing will keep going. Like, why would you want it tagged to one human being? Let's tag it to content, to authenticity. Authenticity is completely missing on this planet. Like I look at authenticity and go, whoa, that's a commodity I'd like to actually drive into because I think people like you really want it. I see you nodding your head going, ooh, authenticity, what's that? Don't hear that very often, right? That's why I don't have promotions here. I don't have sponsors and advertisers because I don't want anybody calling me going, hey, man, we didn't really like what you said about us going to war. Well, it looks like we're going to war. Well, why wouldn't we talk about it? If we're not going to war, why don't we have a conversation about why we're not going to war? Okay, tell me why we're not. It looks, all the charts look like we're going to war. And by the way, I don't want to go to war anymore. I hate hurting people. I think the America should just maybe mind our own business for a while, get our own shit together. So look, none of these are great answers, really. I don't think any of them are great answers. I think this is an adventure. Life is an adventure, and you got to decide whether you're going to be, are you going to be Columbus, or are you going to be somebody that doesn't make a difference? And I think there's a lot of ways to make differences, by the way. You don't have to be in business to make a lot of difference. I just happen to, one, it's my own, I'm not going to be an athlete. Okay. I'm done on, that's not my deal. I happen to like this game a lot because this game never stops. There's never an off season, ever. And I can literally, I have a career that shows that you do not have to get in the oil and gas business and stay there forever. At 41 years old, I was having headaches every day. I'm like, why am I doing this? And the answer was $7 million a year. But that was the only reason I was doing it, man. My ego, I had cars, I had the helicopter, but I wasn't really digging it. So I quit. I said, shit, I can create another career. If I can't create another career, I refuse to be a slave to this one because I'm not enjoying it anymore. I left. Didn't ask for anything, studied, took off a while, bingo, bango, created another business in a completely different industry, learned a lot, 2x the amount of people I knew, left that industry after I got bored, and now I've come into this industry and probably a 4x the amount of people I know, which to me, it's not the money, dude. It's all the connections. It's all the people I know. I'm going to be able to call you one day and go, hey, man, remember the guy that lost connection 4 times? I'm back, right? And we'll have a comment, and like I'll develop a relationship with you over time. So to me, these are the things that are massively valuable that you cannot remove. It's not transactional. It's relationships that are the true value of the world.
I think relationships are just so valuable, and I think a word you touched on, which I want to highlight again, is being authentic, right? Not just as your own personal brand, but as a person in life, right? Putting the human mentality before anything else, right? And being able to have the hard and easy conversations. It's not easy for Gary right now to be talking about war and all these serious things, or Bitcoin that some people are uncomfortable about because they haven't taken the time to understand. So I really appreciate, you know, a lot of that you just talked about, Gary. And Gary, something that I want to shift to now that you have a good feel of my podcast, you know, and what it's all about. Who is a future guest, you know, someone that you know personally that you would like to see on the show?
Uh, I mean, I think Vivek is a very interesting guy. I spent an hour and a half, 2 hours with him, and really enjoyed meeting him. Um, I'd go for any authentic people you could find, man. They are hard to find. And by authentic, I mean, you know, people that they're just being honest. And you know, I think my brother has done a really good job of remaining true to who he is and what he believes in. Whether you believe him or don't believe him, or he's consistent. He doesn't change. And I think I think there's a few people out there in the world. I think the crypto community, the Bitcoin community is, I will tell you quite honestly, I have met more high ethics, spiritually evolved people who actually communicate about it. I've met more of those people in the what I call digital asset industry than I've met in all other industries combined. There is something really unique, and it's about this freedom, liberty, truth, honesty, and authenticity. Hey, I want real money to be real money, not fake money. There's something that's drawing in a lot of really interesting, what I maybe liberal, independent type thinking people. And I find that to be a revolution in itself. So this whole thing going on with what we're doing right now, this decentralized media, have as many great people on as possible. Have some bad people on too, because it's going to be really clear. You're not going to get it right. People change, people make mistakes. But I think this disintermediated, decentralized media is offering a window into the world that should offer mentoring and teaching and education to a lot of people that have not had honest teaching before. And there's going to be some scammers out there. You have to do your due diligence. Hey, what's the motivation for these people? But to me, there's more good out there than there is bad. And all you have to do is tap into it. Turn off CNN, turn off Fox, turn off CNBC, listen to some of this new media, and then you get to decide what's true and what's not true for yourself.
Right. And so if someone's looking at, you know, media to follow, or someone that has put out really good content, who is someone that you really admire?
Well, you got to remember, I follow a lot of financial content, right? So I'm more interested. I don't really. I mean, most of mine is so financially driven. I tend to lean toward people that are massive disruptors. Some of these people may not be the best thing for your content, because I think you're trying to do something more holistic. Look, there's stuff going. I just did a medical procedure in Antigua that I could not have done here. There's a lot of stuff going on in this world right now that is fundamentally challenging the past. In any of those people, whether they're doctors, whether they're cryptologists, you know, the stuff that's going on with AI right now. I mean, there's so many issues with that. And notice how I am having a hard time coming up with a bunch of names for you to, hey, go find this guy. He's authentic. One, it's a little hard for me to say that about anybody. And then we discover, oh gosh, this guy's running a scheme or something. So I'm always a little, I try to show up and be as authentic and honest as I can be. And if I don't want to answer something, I'm probably going to go, hey, I probably don't want to answer that right now. I don't really use that very often. I can't remember the last time I said no to a question. But I think anyone, to me, the way to find them, look at their stats. Like, I would never take investment advice from anyone unless I understood, and this is the problem with the media that we do today, unless you understand, if you take advice from me, you might want to, hey, Gary, are you really successful? Like, what does that look like to you, Gary? I would ask everyone, giving me advice about anything, how much do you have in Bitcoin? Or how much have you made? Or, stuff like that, right? Like, make sure that the guy you're listening to actually has a position that you would want. Because there's a lot of people out there talking shit. So just understand the drivers, and most successful people will help people that are trying to be successful. And so don't be scared to ask someone to be their, mentoree. Like, I would pay for a mentor all day long, dude. Like, they're so hard to find really legit people. And on that message, if you get a mentor, make sure that you don't think you're marrying this person for life. He will change, she will change, and so will you. You will need a different coach as you elevate your game up.
So Gary, where's the best place, for my listeners to find you online?
Yeah, at Gary Cardone. I do a lot of stuff on X, YouTube, building that channel. Would love people to subscribe to that channel to help that. I'm not so good on the video stuff, but I'm trying to get better at it. And then we're putting a whole group together, political lobby type information, financial analysts, trading, chart guys, to really bring kind of a holistic education to people that want it. So don't do that much on Instagram, but I think it's called Gary Cardone or the Gary Cardone. But yeah, man, I'm pretty easy to find.
Okay, great. So I'll put all that in the show notes. And Gary, I want to take this last moment, to really thank you for being here today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being a mentor to me right now. And lastly, is there anything else, before we sign off today, anything else that you want to add to this conversation?
I would just say, write down what you're trying to do and realize that mankind typically underestimates what you can do. So really push it out there and then start communicating what you're doing. Like, if you can write it down and you start communicating, I've never failed. It has never failed me to write it down, to then, articulate that to other people, and go get it. And don't stray, just stay really focused. Cut out anything that doesn't have anything to do with that goal, and you'll be very successful.
All right. So let's end off with those words. Thanks again, Gary.
Appreciate it, buddy.